Okay, so basically, if we talk about the factors required for industry, so the factors can be divided into two categories. We have the natural factors, or what we call it as the physical factors, and we have the human factors, or what we call it as the socio-economic factors. Now, one thing to remember here it is that whatever type of industry that you are opening, no matter what the category is, either you are opening a cotton textile industry or an industry that is going to manufacture the medical equipment, whatever the industry is, it is going to require more or less the similar kind of factors to open, or maybe there are industry which may require some additional factors, but the primary factors are usually the same. So if we talk about the natural factors, so first of all, to set up an industry in an area, we require suitable area, land, or premises. The second important thing required is suitable climate. If the climate is going to be suitable, then only the industry can be operated. Like, for example, harsh climatic conditions in the northern areas of Pakistan or towards the Balochistan makes it difficult for the people to survive therein. So this is why industries cannot be opened in such areas. Then industry can be opened on a flat area of land. It means that if you want to open an industry on a slopy area, such as the mountainous areas or a plateau, industry cannot be opened. There are industries where water is also another requirement. So yes, water is going to be required if we are going to open an industry. Then we have the concept of labor. Labor is going to be required. Capital is going to be required. Capital means investment is going to be required. Definitely, if once we are opening an industry, we require the people to work, we require uh, machinery, we require investment. And then once our product has been manufactured, then we require transportation to transport our product to the market. Also, we require transportation for bringing the raw material to our industry. Now, for operating the machinery, the labor is going to require training. So, training is another factor which is going to be required. Once our product has been manufactured, we require advertisement to make our customers aware about our product. Insurance is another factor which is going to be required once we are going to talk about an industry. Insurance saves us from any kind of risks or any kind of uncertainty. Other than that, there are many other factors which are required, such as technology or communication. Many other factors are there which are required for opening an industry. It is going to depend upon the type, that what kind of specific factors are then going to be required. But these are some of the common factors about which, if you talk about, so they are going to be required for every kind of industry, more or less. Moving on further, we are going to talk about the major industries of Pakistan. So, industries of Pakistan are divided into two categories. There are the large scale industries and there are the small scale industry. We are going to talk about both. So, the cotton textile industry, the iron and steel industry, sugar industry, the cement industry are the large scale industries in Pakistan that we are going to talk about. Other than that, there are a few terms that you guys need to understand before proceeding and understanding the industries. So basically, the areas in the city where the industries are opened are called as the industrial sites. Industrial sites are the areas which are away from the populated areas, which have been specified for by the government, wherein the industries they operate. So industries are not going to be opened everywhere. Areas are going to be specified, and the industries are only going to be opened in those particular areas. Another concept that we have is about the agro-based industries. What are the agro-based industries? The industries which use agricultural products as their raw material are called as the agro-based industries. So usually in Pakistan, if you observe, so the industries that you are going to see are the agro-based industries, such as the cotton textile industry, the sugar industry. These are the industries which whose raw material is going to be made available from the agricultural sector. So this is why they are the agro-based industries. Now, what if the government wants to motivate the people to open industries in the country? Then what can be done? The question here arises, okay, what if the government wants the people that they should be motivated to invest into the country or to open more industries? What is the option with the government? The option available with the government is that the government can offer incentives to the people. Incentives can be a discount in taxes, free electricity, or any other thing that the people should start operating in the country. So, what the government does is that the government specifies some areas and the government says that whosoever is going to open an industry in these areas is going to be rewarded with certain incentives. So and so are the incentives that we are going to reward to the people who are going to open an industry in these areas. Those areas which have been specified by the government are called as industrial zones. अब आप यहाँ एक सवाल करेंगे कि सर इंडस्ट्रियल साइट्स में भी आपने यही कहा, इंडस्ट्रियल जोन में भी यही कहा, तो डिफरेंस क्या है? तो इंडस्ट्रियल साइट वाज एन एरिया वेयर द रेगुलर इंडस्ट्रीज आर गोइंग टू बी ओपनड. यहाँ कोई इंसेंटिव ऑफर नहीं हो रहा था. However, if you talk about industrial zones, so industrial zones are the areas where the government wants the people to invest into the country. तो incentives ऑफर होंगे. ये वो एरियाज होंगे जहां अगर आपने इंडस्ट्री खोली तो आपको incentives ऑफर होने वाले हैं. इंडस्ट्रियल साइट में कोई इंसेंटिव नहीं था. Then the next thing to be understood is the difference between nationalization and privatization. Actually, nationalization is the concept when all the industries that are operating in the country are taken over by the government and the government becomes the owner of the industries if called as nationalization. However, if private ownership of industries is allowed within the country, that is called as privatization. This concept will be better understood by you guys in history once we are going to discuss the topic Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. This concept will be better understood and you will be able to write down the difference very easily. This is something important. The next thing that we have is the difference between the formal sector and the informal sector. अब इसको जरा समझिएगा. फॉर्मल सेक्टर का मतलब है कि एनी टाइप ऑफ वर्क अरेंजमेंट और एनी टाइप ऑफ वर्क which is done in a proper manner in a proper office where policies and procedures are available, where paperwork is available, training to the employees is provided, deadlines are there, and employees are required to complete their work on time. Such kind of a business or such kind of work is registered with the government is called as formal sector. फॉर्मल सेक्टर का क्या मतलब है कि भाई ऐसी जगह जहां पर बेसिकली प्रॉपर ऑफिस होगा, प्रॉपर पेपर वर्क होगा, प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग दी जा रही होगी, हर चीज इट इज गोइंग टू लुक लाइक अ प्रॉपर ऑफिस which is registered with the government is going to be called as a formal sector. Informal sector is the type of business wherein it is not registered with the government usually. There are no proper guidelines, no infrastructure, no building, no house, nothing, no premises, no proper premises, no paperwork, no training provided, nothing. A newspaper stall is the best example of an informal sector. The traditional hawkers and the peddlers who sell their products on small stalls in the market, they are sitting in the middle of the market or at the sides of the market and they are selling their own product. They are called as the informal sector. There are no proper guidelines, no infrastructure, nothing. The profit of the informal sector, obviously, since a person who is selling his products on a stall, no policies, no procedures, nothing, the profit is going to be lower as compared to the formal sector. And since the profit is low, so obviously the salary ratio is also going to be low. If you are going to compare the salary, so salary of the employees in the formal sector are going to be far more higher as compared to the salaries of the informal sector, which are going to be far more lower. Okay. So this is the primary difference between the formal sector and the informal sector. Now we need to talk about, okay, what are going to be the benefits out of informal sector. Although informal sector we have talked about that it is not having high profit, and obviously if it is not operating on a large scale, so it is not going to contribute to the GDP of the country so much. So how come is it going to be beneficial? Informal sector, basically it provides employment to the unskilled labor. That is the first and the foremost advantage. All the people in the country who are illiterate, who are unskilled, can get employed at the informal sector. The second advantage is that people with small investment who want to start up their business or some stuff can start over with the informal sector, and that is not going to be an issue for the people. So yes, these are some of the advantages when we are going to discuss about the informal sector. However, the informal sector, if we talk about the problems, so it is found to be unreliable. It can end anytime due to losses. So the people might lose their jobs and other stuff. And the informal sector is not registered with the government. It is not going to pay the taxes to the government. So this is how the informal sector turns out to be a disadvantaged thing in the society. Otherwise, this is how it is, the formal sector and the informal sector. Okay, Ji. The next thing that we need to discuss is the problems of large scale industry. Large scale industry, if you remember, we had discussed it in the last session that a large scale industry is one which is going to have a large amount of labor, heavy investment is going to be done, and is going to have a large area of land where it is going to operate. Now, if we talk about a large scale industry, so there are certain problems which are associated with the large scale industry. A question in the examination can come asking you about the problems of a large scale industry, so you must know about it. So the first and the foremost problem associated with the large scale industry is that it requires large amount of capital. Obviously, a large scale industry is going to require heavy investment. Then since it is a large scale industry, so you are going to require a large area of land. You cannot operate a large scale industry on a small area of land. And what, let's say, for example, if it is an area or if it is a city where land on a large scale is not available, then it is going to be a problem. And you cannot operate the industry in that area. The third important thing that we require is is another issue that is going to occur is the high degree of pollution. There is going to be very high pollution since it is a large scale industry. It has been operating on a large scale. So yes, a high degree of pollution is going to be observed if it is a large scale industry. Power resources will be consumed in huge amounts. Yes, if the power resources are being used, then they are also going to be consumed in huge amounts. This is another problem that is going to be faced once we talk about a large scale industry. The power resources are going to be consumed in a huge amount. Yes, another major issue being faced when we talk about a large scale industry. It is required to be established in an area where labor is easily available. Yes, if you are going to operate a large scale industry, so you require a large amount of people as well to work with you. Now, well, if the industry is being established in an area, let's say for example Balochistan, where the population is very low, then the major problem is going to be that labor is not going to be available. If labor is not going to be available, then it is going to be difficult for the industry to operate. So yes, another important thing that it is required to be established in area where labor is easily available. If it is not established in an area where labor is easily available, then things are going to be problematic in that situation. Heavy mechanical complex or what we call is expensive machinery is required for the startup of a large scale industry. If this is not available, then the industry cannot be operated. Also, training is required in case of a technical job. If the job turns out to be technical, then training is required as well for the labor. Obviously, if it is a large scale industry, it is going to use the latest technology, the modern equipment, and modern methodology. So, in that case, training is going to be required for the labor, and that is going to increase the cost. So this turns out to be another problem when we talk about a large scale industry. So if the owner of the industry is able to overcome all these problems, then definitely he can operate a large scale industry very easily. So the next thing that we have is the textile industry of Pakistan, which is a large scale industry. So now on, we are going to talk about the industries of Pakistan and their advantages and disadvantages. So textile industry is one of the sector which provides high employment opportunities, and it contributes substantially to the growth and development of Pakistan. Pakistan grows the best quality cotton, and that cotton is utilized in making the textile products which are exported all across the world. Cotton-based textile industries contribute over 60% to the total exports of the world. So this is one advantage when we talk about the cotton textile industries. Now, what is the importance of this cotton textile industry we are going to discuss? So the first and the foremost importance is that it provides employment opportunities on a large scale. Since it is a large scale industry, so it provides employment on a large scale to the people. It contributes to the GDP substantially. So the GDP, one of the factor for the increase in GDP of Pakistan is going to be the cotton textile industry. Then it is a contributor in the exports as well. Contribution in the exports means that it is going to improve the balance of payment of Pakistan. Moreover, the cotton production or the growth of cotton in the agricultural sector is supported by the textile industry, because all the cotton that is grown is going to be utilized by the textile industry. So the farmers are confident in growing the cotton, that whatever they grow is not going to be wasted, is all going to be sold. So that is a benefit. And this is how the cycle continues of the growth of cotton and the utilization of cotton. It contributes to 60% approximately to the total output and 11% of the country's GDP in total. Textile industry has also a major stake in the balance of payment of the country. Yes, the improvement of the balance of payment results in due to the textile industry. However, there are certain issues when we talk about a textile industry. So the first and the foremost problem related to the textile industry is the power and energy crisis. There is a lack of power resources in Pakistan, which is hindering the flow of the textile industries. There are gas shortages as well, so the machinery can also be not be running on natural gas. No research and development has been facilitated by the government in the textile sector, so which has made the textile sector to lag behind. No new investment has been observed due to inflation, or what we call as महंगाई in the country. So that has resulted in a problems. Due to this inflation, the raw material has become expensive. Due to expensive raw material, the finished product is going to be expensive. So yes, now the expensive products are not affordable by the people. So it turns out to be another problem, that the output produced is not sold that much because the people cannot afford it. Equipment, the modernized equipment or the modern machinery is now not nowadays not available with the textile sector due to import policies of the government. The government is not facilitating import policies such as a reduction in imports for the textile sector, so that they can import the modern machinery easily. The government has not provided any kind of export benefits or incentives to the textile sector so that they can increase the exports of the textile sector. So these are some of the common problems once we talk about the textile sector. So this is how it is. Another important thing that you people need to remember is the process of the textile sector, how a cloth is manufactured in the textile sector. So basically what happened is that the first step is ginning, wherein raw cotton is collected and the seeds or the impurities which have become a part of the raw cotton are separated out. Step number 2 is spinning. Now this raw cotton is converted into yarn, or what we call as thread. It is used to convert into yarn. That is the spinning process. Now after converting it into yarn or thread, the third step is weaving, that this yarn is uh, made to run on a machine called as looms, and this thread is converted into fabric or cloth. That is called as weaving. Now the cloth has been manufactured, but no designs, no colors have been incorporated onto that cloth. So step number 4 is processing, wherein bleaching, dyeing, and printing of fabric is done. The cloth is printed, dyed, colored, etc. That is called as processing. So these 4 are the important steps. A question in the examination can come asking you about any of the steps or asking you about the details of any step or anything like that can be questioned in the examination. So you must be aware about this stuff, how it goes on. Now, how can the problems be removed of the textile sector? If we talk about the recommendations for the government, what the government can do to remove the problems of the textile sector. So the first and the foremost thing that can be done is the removal of energy crisis. First of all, the government should be providing plenty of power resources to the people so that the energy crisis thing can be eradicated. Special export policies or export bonus scheme should be introduced, wherein tax exemptions should be available for the people. Tax exemptions should be there for the exporters of the textile sector so that they can easily increase the exports of the textile sector. The productivity of the textile sector should be improved by providing the textile sector with modern machinery, increasing the taxes on, decreasing the taxes on imports so that the textile sector can import the modern machinery, modern equipment, which is going to increase the productivity. If you people remember, we had discussed about the Trade Development Authority in the trade chapter. So basically, the Trade Development Authority is going to explore new export markets where the textile products of Pakistan can be sold. So that is also going to be a value addition, that if new markets, new countries are being explored where the products of Pakistan are going to be demanded, so yes, it is going to increase the overall export market and is going to improve the balance of payment. There are certain international quality standards which are being set over. The textile sector is required to be aware about the international quality standards, and the products should be manufactured as per those international quality standards so that the products can be sold easily. The government should provide awareness to the companies that these are the quality standards you are required to maintain, and so on and so and other stuff. For the production of cotton, the growth of cotton in the agricultural sector, high yielding varieties of seeds can be used for the production of better quality. The government can increase cooperation by forming industrial zones, special industrial zones, wherein the government can offer incentives to the textile sector, or loans can be provided to the textile sector so that they can improve themselves. These are some of the recommendations which are necessary. If these are being fulfilled, then the textile sector of Pakistan can improve.